I am constantly in awe of how fickle our habits are. We think we have everything in balance. We have our work, our kids, our partner, our friends, our training, our racing, but then one extra thing comes along, and then another, and before you know it, it's a big mess. When we have our good routines, it feels like we've solved the puzzle of life. We'll just keep doing this forever, and everything will be fine. But when we're in a mess, it feels an almost impossible path to get back. This happened to me. I had 3 of the most consistent years in my life with training. Then one extra thing landed on my plate, and then another, and it all came tumbling down. Last year, I was training for the biggest ultra marathons of my life, and now I feel like a 10K is a struggle. So today, I'm going to go through my 5-step strategy to get my fitness back. First up, I've had a brutally honest conversation with myself and realized that many of the things that derailed me are no longer present, and some of the things that are present can no longer be used as an excuse. The things that derail us are often short-term struggles, but if we're not careful, we can hang on to them as an excuse for not sticking to the habits that matter to us most. That certainly happened to me recently. You have to make a brutally honest assessment of your life and realize that you do have your time back, or you just need to do some diary management gymnastics and fit your training back in. When something is important to you, it's not good enough to not fit it in. I know this is easier said than done. Trust me, my life is busy with work and kids' commitments, but I also want to make the time for my own training and adventures. It feels like the thing that excites my soul and makes me a better dad and better at work. So I'm adjusting things to get back into my good training. I've time blocked a couple of lunchtime gym sessions each week, and I'm multitasking by going for runs when my kids are doing their sport. I've also made myself accountable by dragging some of the other dads into my runs, and we do an easy zone 2 run and have a chat while the kids are doing their sport. It's actually become a highlight of my week. Next up, find a race that scares you. I have 2 rules when it comes to picking a race. Rule number 1 is that you shouldn't be able to complete it today. You have to train to complete it. Rule number 2 is that it should scare you but not fill you with dread. It's the fear that makes you stick to the training plan, but if it fills you with dread and it feels too much, then that can lead to apathy. There's a sweet spot with booking races that motivates you to train. An example of this for me was last year when signing up to an ultramarathon in the Welsh Mountains. I'd done the 50k version a couple of times, and I was contemplating either the 100k or the 100 miler. The 100k was likely going to take me 24 hours in that terrain, and it was a beast, and it definitely scared me. But the 100 miler would have involved 2 nights in the mountains while hitting 13 summits, and I honestly couldn't get my head around how people do that. The thought of it filled me with dread. So the 100k became the obvious choice. We're all on our own journey with this stuff, and you have to pick what's right for you. And remember, that can change. Right now, I need to pick something smaller than last year so I can get back into the right routines. And once I've rebuilt my base, then I can start to look to the bigger races again. When it comes to booking your perfect race, you might be interested in today's video sponsor, Frogs Run Club. This is an email newsletter that handpicks and curates races and cheap flights to help you find discounts. Like me, you may have noticed that prices of the major races are going up, and when you factor in travel costs, it can be an expensive hobby. I've been a subscriber to this newsletter for a few weeks now, and I've really enjoyed discovering races that I'd never heard of before and having some travel links handed to me on a plate. Frogs Run Club tracks thousands of UTMB, index races, ITRA races, and major road marathons, and this is all done by humans who have a love of trail running, so they understand the struggle. Right now, they have a giveaway competition running for some Hoka Speedgoat 6s, and if you enter the draw for these shoes, you'll be automatically added to the newsletter. It's completely free to join, and I can vouch for it being a super helpful newsletter to land in your inbox twice a week. I will leave the link in the description below, and thank you to Frogs Run Club for sponsoring this video. Now that I'm training again, I need to let go of my numbers, or you could say it another way, that I need to let go of my ego. By far, the worst thing about having been fit but no longer being fit is that the runs that used to be at easy runs are now your hard runs. Last year, the shortest and easiest run for me was a Zone 2 6-miler, and that route is now the route that I'm doing on my longer run day. I've had to find other routes to do 3 and 4 milers for easier runs, and I've had to let go of my ego and go by feel. I use RPE, Relative Perceived Exertion, which is the fancy way of saying how hard do I think I'm working. By listening to my body like this and doing a few easy runs and one harder run each week, but judging them by feel rather than speed and distance, I'm able to not overload my body and stay consistent. inconsistent. The biggest risk in any training plan is doing too much too soon, and I think people who have had a good fitness are more at risk of this. Our brain still uses the numbers from our time being fit, so if we have those expectations, we'll be putting ourselves at risk of injury. Right now, I go by feel, and I have no problem throwing in walks in my runs if I need to bring the intensity down. This strategy is working, and although it totally sucks being unfit, I'm noticing progress. Continuing on that point, my main focus is consistency. I'm going full James Clear mode and using all the strategies from his book Atomic Habits. I'm starting small, I'm removing friction, I'm making myself accountable with other people, all the basic habit forming tactics. My measure of success is doing the workout, not how much I do. The most important thing right now is the habit. Building the habit, locking the runs in your diary, getting the workout done, that's the focus. Doing something is more important than how much you do. So if you're having a bad day and you just want to do a couple of miles, you still won. Consistency is the magic that gets us to wherever we want to be, and it should be prioritized above all else. And finally, we always have to remind ourselves that the whole point of this is to find joy. I love my races and the big adventures, but I love the training too. Being unfit sucks, and the runs can feel hard at first, but I'm reminding myself that I get to run, I don't have to run. This is an incredible privilege to have the health and the freedom to do, and even though my fitness has tanked, it is still a joy. So if you've let your fitness slip, you're not alone. It happens to us all, and I'd love to hear your best strategies to get you back on track. And until next time, happy training.